This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
It's almost time to get going. Really excited for our first one. Our curtain raiser in Group 9 of the Ultimate Pool Masters is Simon Fitzsimmons, the bouncer, versus His Royal Highness Mike King. I, for one, really hope that nickname sticks, by the way. But there they go. The two players are in the arena. Simon Fitzsimmons on the left, Mike King on the right. And there they are, looking very happy to be here as well. Two lovely blokes. So we were chatting to them both earlier. And both really looking forward to this. I was chatting to Mike King. He's had some great personal news recently. I asked him, I said, Mike, what do you do day to day to get a tan like that at the moment? And he said, well, I've spent the last few weeks on paternity leave, so he's been in the garden a lot. He's just had 4 weeks now. Little baby Edith is watching at home, so a big congratulations to him and all concerned. A lovely month or so in the King household. So yeah, he's got two things. One, he's naturally very happy and just generally very bouncy at the moment. But two, I'm sure he's very tired as well. So he's got to fight against that.
Yeah, no, it's great news. Really pleased for him and family, and it'd be interesting to know how much he's been able to practice because of that. Sometimes you can just free roll when you've got exciting things like that happening in your home life. It can just free you up on the table. But it is going to be Mike with his first opportunity, and it's a pretty decent one. Just one good cannon required just to open up the little cluster around the black and yellow and red. And that will do. Lovely little shot with control.
Yeah, we're expecting we've seen some pretty high standard stuff in this competition, not least in the last couple of weeks in particular, where the fair serve depth has been superb, really. And we're expecting that to roll on through, especially with this first game. Two really classy operators. Although just as I say that, I thought Mike King was about to miss, but even so, he's got to do a little bit of rerouting. That one wipes its feet and then some. Simon Fitzsimmons will have to stay in his chair for now.
I think he's played that with a bit of check side to hold it up. I think he might have been worried about going near the middle pocket and ended up checking up way too much and made the pot thin, which has put a bit of pressure on this next pot now. And that's okay, good recovery. Not the perfect angle on this one to the centre pocket. Can't come down for this red, but he can just drop this in. He'll still leave a nice enough angle to land on that 8 ball.
Yeah, a little bit of a heart-in-mouth moment, but Mike King should be just about there in this first frame. Simple 8 ball then to go 1-0 up. King makes sure an excellent start. And here he is, the man from Exeter. 37-year-old is a 2019 UK Tour winner, which shows the sort of level that he is prone to operating at. He's also an England international, has won the World Team Championship on 3 occasions, as well as a 4-time Southwest Tour event winner. And so I know you know a bit about that region being the Southwest, and pretty stacked region when it comes to quality players. That's it's a pretty good tour to win events on.
It is. That tour is normally full of top players, but he's won on the UK tour as well. So he's won on the top tour you can win on, and if you can win on any title really, but if you're winning titles on that tour, then you can really play, and it just tells you everything you need to know about Mike King.
First break then for the bouncer, and he does have an absolute hammer of a break. He has made a ball too. Wasn't quite the perfect connection. You can see that cue ball heading towards the top right corner pocket.
Just shows you how good a break he's got there. He hasn't caught that break anywhere near as well as he can, but he's made a ball and he's given himself a really nice split chance to respond straight away.
So red's the colour set choice for Simon Fitzsimmons.
Looks quite straight on this red at the top of the table. If he is, then he won't be able to get too far down the table for his next ball. Might have just enough angle to force it an inch or two further down the table.
Really quality operator is the bouncer. We always think of him for his grand final win in that shootout, which was just absolutely sensational, really. Difficult to find another way to describe it. But he's more than just a grand final winner. A couple of years before that, he went all the way to the World Championships in the Black Ball World title. And at the top of his game, he's a match for absolutely anybody. We didn't see the best of him the last time he was on Free Sports. I know he'll be wanting to sort of make amends for that one, really. He's a long way off that one, though.
That was down to the previous shot. He was trying to come further across the left-hand side of the table to play the one nearest the top left pocket as we look from this overhead, and forced into the long straight one. And normally we're used to seeing Simon make those sort of recovery shots, but not this time. And there is nothing tied up here for Mike, although that he won't be overly pleased with the cannon he's got there. He would have liked to have stayed on the yellow in the triangle area, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem to come back down, reroute, and use that probably now as his last ball.
I just wonder with that Fitzsimmons shot, Simon, whether he just tried to force a bit of an angle to pinch the pocket and make an angle that wasn't really available. Both players are creating very uncharacteristic missed pots here. That's a shot Mike King would certainly expect to make.
In some ways, I'm more surprised by that miss from Mike than I was from Simon. For Simon, it's the first. I know, we all know how good Simon is, but it is second frame, but his first time at the table, and there are going to be some nerves out there until you really settle down. And that's one that I could see missing. Whereas that one, Mike's made a great break dish in the opening frame, and a great opportunity for him to punish a mistake there from Simon, and he didn't take it.
Yeah, big surprise. Really is, and a real let-off here for Simon. If he can take advantage of this opportunity, he would be a very, very, very grateful man indeed.
Key shot here, though, to land on the next ball. Needs to get high enough up the table. It's what the mistake he made previously was, and going by body language tells me he may not be on it. Looks like it's far enough. Oh, it is tight when we look at the overhead. The way he's queuing this up, I wonder if he's thinking about the plant here, so he is a couple of rolls short of being on the ball nearest the pocket. This is tough.
This needs to be precise, yeah. Unlucky. That was a tough shot. He knew he was pretty much guaranteed a good cue ball, but I think Mike might have a shot here towards the top of the table.
It's amazing. Two opportunities for Simon, and it's been the same ball that's caused the problems both times, and that was the one nearest that bottom left corner pocket. Couldn't land on it twice and hasn't been able to recover twice. This is tough for Mike. Even if he makes the pot into the right centre, he's not guaranteed to be on his next ball. Depends on the cannon he's going to get on that red. I don't think he can avoid it. I think he's even going to play safe because of it. He is.
That's a white ball. Just got his angles wrong, did Mike King. It's a clever bit of imagination to see that safety. And he has got that one ever so slightly wrong. It doesn't take a lot when you're dancing with the corner pocket like that. Cue ball in hand, the punishment for the foul. And Simon Fitzsimmons got to pick his angle. And from here, it should be drop-ins, although already it looks a little bit grieved at the positional shot he's just played.
Yeah, it looks like he's left it a little bit too straight. I think there's enough angle here he can force across, but he's annoyed because he wanted another roll, at least on that previous shot. You could see there how much he had to force it to create an angle.
I spoke to him just about an hour ago now, and he had a little go on the tournament table. First time he's played on this table. he didn't join us for the Champions League competition. And first thing he said was, "Oh, crikey, that's responsive." I said, "Yeah, it is." But he's getting to grips with it. Something we didn't see too much of last week, mainly because we just saw Declan Brennan fly through. But it does take a little bit of getting used to. This is the man they call the bouncer from Radcliffe up in Manchester. So you can see those two main honours, and they are big ones as well. Shootout Grand Final winner and the Black Ball World Championship runner-up in 2017.
Yeah, back in 2017, I think it was a surprise to a lot of people to see him make that World Championship final. He was kind of known as a bit of a money match player up until that point, but that run to the final where he lost out to Craig Marsh, I think really sort of catapulted him in the pool world. And you know, he's got that belief that he can to mix it with the very best in the world, and he absolutely can.
Yeah, and absolutely no shame to losing to Craig Marsh at any level.
Yeah, Craig played fantastic that night as well. There wasn't a huge amount that Simon could do.
It's a good break from Mike King here. He caught that absolutely perfectly. He has, for quite a relatively slightly framed guy, he's got a big break on him, doesn't he? Saw it in practice. He really throws his whole body through the cue action.
Yeah, drives it through really nicely. All the power he's putting into the shot going right through that pack. And well, small sample size so far, but 2 breaks and 2 great opportunities from his break.
You ordinarily associate the best breakers with a sort of very natural sort of looking cue power. Someone like Simon Fitzsimmons, who does have a decent amount of power behind him, or a really long flowy cue action maybe. But Mike King doesn't have either of those, but he breaks so well and smoothly. And of course, the key thing to it all is the timing of it, which he's got down to a fine art.
Yeah, exactly. Timing is the key. This is all about leaving a good last ball to land on that 8 ball. There is room for that 8 ball down to the bottom right-hand corner, but it's not huge. It's not a sort of ball that's going to help it into the pocket unless it's a very light feather on the red. It's one that could throw it onto the near jaw if you catch that red too thick. So it needs to be right behind that 8 ball to make sure of it. His other option would be to leave it as a double. I think that red might be just in the way for the double as well.
Yeah, I think so.
But if he can leave the yellow into the right middle for his last ball, then it would mean getting on the 8 ball would be better. But it looks like he's going to leave the one to the bottom left as his last ball.
It does, doesn't it? Which I must say is surprising. That was the route I saw as well. Don't think he'll be playing it now. So it is going to be middle first. And his last shot from that bottom yellow onto the 8 ball is so crucial, because he wants to be as close to right behind it as possible. Anywhere else in that shot is so difficult. This needs to be precise.
And he's short. That's why I talk about the last ball being so important. And he must have felt that he had no choice but to route that way. Wasn't feeling comfortable taking the one he's just played earlier in the visit. This is now very tough.
Yeah, this is horrible. It's not a bad effort. Oh, good shot, Mike King. Well done. That's a tremendous recovery pot from Mike King.
That's about as thick as you could hit that red. Look at the 8 ball here. It comes off the cushion, hits the red. It then goes in off the jaw. Any thicker on the red, and that does not drop, or any more pace on it, and it also doesn't drop. So really well played.
Yeah, excellent stuff from Mike King. 2-1. And the second frame, despite being very scrappy from both players, really, has been quickly forgotten by Mike King. 2 finishes off the break, off his own break. 2 break dishes. We'll just forget about that missed pot in the second frame, and we'll just say he's on flying form. It's a bit of that was why it felt like such an anomaly, such an aberration. Simon Fitzsimmons back on serve, and that's a much better contact on the break. Much better contact. Has he been blessed with a good first shot? Not sure he has. Deserved one. Great hit this.
there's a red and yellow come together on the right-hand side that are going to cause him some problems. It looked like it was going to be a perfect layout for him, and just look at that red and yellow nearest the bottom centre as we look from the overhead, the right centre from the main camera. And yeah, that's going to be difficult for him to solve. Potentially use the yellow to the bottom right-hand corner. If he can land on an angle off that yellow, he could go into them. I think that
the yellow's the easier one to break out of that too as well, which helps.
Yeah, I was just thinking that sometimes you can play the yellow off the red, the one that's one of the red yellows, into the right centre pocket, but I think the red's too far below the centre pocket to do that. Yeah, you can see the red's just too far down the table to be able to play a yellow into the middle pocket off it. So looks like he's going to be playing this one past the 8 ball now and screwing into the yellow. Not guaranteed to get this fully out.
He'll take that, I think.
Yeah, with the red dropping.
Yeah, he will take that.
It would have been a good shot if the red had stayed on the table, but now the red's dropped. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, he's off angle on his next pot to the left centre, but he's got enough room. No reds in the way. He should be able to control this.
Yeah, and the yellow that he's knocked out is now just dangling over that centre pocket, which should make that a pretty easy shot. And Fitzsimmons here is on the way towards making this one 2-2.
Similar to the Mike King clearance in the previous frame, though, he hasn't left the best choice of ball for his last ball onto the 8 ball. Slightly easier than Mike King's was, but he had to do that because all his focus was on developing the yellow, which he managed to do so.
Yeah, that's all right. Lovely work from Simon Fitzsimmons, who's about to square this one back up. Lovely work. So 15 minutes in, 4 frames in, and all square between the king and the bouncer.
It's a great response from Simon.
It's what we've still got to look forward to. The 4 players from tonight: Fitzsimmons versus King, and then after that, Chris Day and Andy Cragg go head-to-head. Really looking forward to that one. So both of them in the Champions League, and they'll be desperate to go one better in this competition.
Yeah, I think another very tough match to call. The bookies see it that the winner of the first match will hold the edge over whoever wins the second match, just fractionally, and I tend to agree with that point of view. Just love watching the break. Look at the way they just explode when it makes contact. It doesn't look like he's hitting with extreme power, but they explode. Although he is dry.
I can't believe that's dry. I really can't believe that's dry. It's just pure damn luck, isn't it? Nothing you can do. He's hit them beautifully. Sometimes if it's against you, it's against you. And Simon Fitzsimmons here is looking at a great chance to break the serve, as it were, of Mike King. Every frame so far going with the break. Fitzsimmons by hook or by crook with that second frame, but other than that, both players have played really well.
Tricky finish. A couple of balls need to just work out the order for, but the yellow in the top half of the table, the one that's furthest to the left-hand side, actually isn't particularly easy to land nicely on. He may just leave it where it is and play for it in the bottom left, which is absolutely fine if you land right behind it.
Yeah, and he has got a fairly comfortable route to get there too. I think that's probably the only pocket it goes to. I don't think he can find the potting angle to the left middle. No, red's in the way. So it just needs a little bit of careful deliberation.
Might have the angle here just to rest into the red and stay on the yellow to the top left. And then from there, he's got the perfect angle to take the one to the top right. Oh, he's jacking the cue up, so he doesn't have that angle to rest on the red. He just had to move past it, but the same result. So leaving the one we've been talking about as the trickiest one till last, but he's coming into it from the perfect line.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful ball to land on the black as well. If he gets this shot right, the frame's his. This is all about where he places his cue ball. You can see there where he's feathering the cue up. That's where he wants to leave the white ball. If he leaves it there, then this frame should be all his.
He's got enough margin of error here. It'd be a surprise to see him land with a bad angle. And he has got the perfect angle.
A little tap of the knee from Mike King, recognising the good play. This has been good stuff from Simon Fitzsimmons. Both players here are playing well. That's what makes that second frame so funny to me. There was a couple of really bad errors from both players, but since then, they've both looked absolutely great. I just wonder if they just needed a little second to settle, a little bit of time maybe to get used to the table, but they're quick learners if that's the case. For 3-2, Simon Fitzsimmons makes no mistake. He punches that 8-ball home.
Impressive stuff from Simon. Responded to going 2-1 down with 2 finishes from the break of his own, and that's now 4 finishes from the break in the 5 frames we've had.
Well, we talked about this being the second half of the tournament now. Let's take a look at the first quarter of the draw so far. That last 16 draw between Jordan Shepherd and Chris Melling, and then Phil Harrison versus Rob Chilton. Oh, I cannot wait for that. Such a good foursome to kick off the last 16s. The winner of each of those games will go into the final that night, and then the winner of that will go into the semi on finals night, week 21 of the competition that will be. So after we get through all 16 weeks of pool play, 4 amazing weeks of last 16s, and then finals night. That's an absolute crunch of a break from Simon Fitzsimmons. And if he's got an easy shot on yellows, you may be able just to rack these up again for the next one. Just needs an easy opening pot. I think it goes to the left centre. I think that's the shot he's got. Don't think that red covers. He can just squeeze through. If that's the case, just needs to plan his route out to get to the bottom of the table. And I suppose one thing he does have to think about a little bit is the 8-ball. So to swing around, maybe to get behind it to go into the same bottom right corner pocket as the 2 yellows that are over there. But I think once he gets to the table here, this frame should be quite speedy.
He's not happy to leave it on the cushion. Limits what he can do with his next positional shot, but I don't think he's got too much to worry about. He can just come on and off the top cushion. It's going down the right line. Leave himself on the one down the cushion first, and one over the pocket for your last ball. And if you absolutely have to, you could play for the 8-ball in the middle, but ideally in the same pocket as the yellow.
Yeah, that's final position, isn't it? Played that well.
Really was a massive break. You know, he mentioned it in his first break, which was
so well,
also a big break, but he said it wasn't his absolute best. That's as good as he can sort of contact them. It was huge. He did raise his hand in apology. I think the cue ball went quite close to going.
Yeah, he jawed it right in the top left.
So it is going to be in the centre pocket, I think. That's what he's come around to have a look at now. Unless you land right behind it, it's a ball that can be missed. Now he's come around to have a look to see if he plays the same pocket. Could do either from this angle. And he has overhit the shot.
Ooh.
If this goes into the top pocket, then it's a lot easier. If he has to cut this back to the centre pocket, and I think he does where he's lining this up, then this is very, very tricky.
Yeah, I don't think this goes to the top left. I think the red close to it's blocking it. This is fiddly, to say the least. Well then, chance for Mike King to steal.
You can see how close he got to making that.
It was close, wasn't it? It really was.
The surprising thing for me was that, as Mike just lays a horrible little snooker. The surprising thing for me with Simon with his positional shot onto that 8-ball is the fact that it was an easier pot to make from short than it was from long. So if you're saying straight is perfect, if he had left it half ball short, it would have been a lot easier pot than half ball cutting it back as he had to.
Well, Simon Fitzsimmons knows what's at stake here. If he hits it, he'll make it. He hasn't quite got his line right. The gamble from Mike King, which was a gamble, because anytime you try and snook someone who's got an 8-ball over the pocket, it's a big gamble. Just takes a great shot to win the frame, but it was the percentage shot. He's played it well, and now he can look to break apart these reds over the middle pocket and go and win the frame.
He has the choice if he wants to, and I don't think he will, but you could just roll this down the rail and leave another snooker, but you are running that risk that you've just talked about. So I think the right shot here is to go for the finish. Well, he's played it as a two-way shot by just dropping it in. If he misses it, he's would have been leaving a snooker. If he makes it, he's on this one to the corner, so could do both in the same shot. And now they are all there for him.
Yeah, this shouldn't cause too many problems for a player of Mike King's quality.
Assuming Mike does go on to clear these up, I think he'll be sort of relieved to be 3-3. Knows he, in the back of his mind, he should have gone 3-0 in front. I know it was the second frame where he missed the opportunity to punish the mistake from Simon, but with how well he played frames 1 and 3, it's a big surprise to see him miss that ball. And he's been frozen out since.
Yeah, don't expect any errors from here, that's for sure. And that is 3 apiece. This is a close one to call this. Mike King and Simon Fitzsimmons are neck and neck as we approach the halfway stage of this one. We're going to take a quick break. Do stay with us, though. We'll find out who's going through to tonight's final when we return. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Simon Fitzsimmons has made his way through to tonight's final via a 6-red shootout. His opponent, though, is what we're about to find out next. It's Chris Day against Andy Cragg. And just before we get into this one, Simon, another match which is very, very difficult to call. Two players on a pretty even keel.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see this one go all the way through to a 6-red shootout as well. Very, very tough to call. Yeah, well, we've seen one, it could well be another, and I think it will come down to the player that gets the most chances, similar to how it went in the first match, really.
Well, a great game in prospect then. You've had it sold to you. Here it is. It's CD Chris Day versus Andy Cragg. They are in the arena, a couple in to watch as well. Chris Day and Andy Cragg, a great match in prospect here. Really looking forward to this one. Two really, really good players.
Yeah, we've seen both players play in this arena fairly recently in the last competition, the Champions League, so both players have had some experience. They didn't come through their groups, but they'll have learned a lot from those 3 matches that they played.
Oh, that's a tough one to come up dry for Chris Day. Andy Cragg's looking at this table like a meal. It's a great cut break, this, from Chris Day. It's about the cue ball jumping down the table. It's about as good a split as you can ever want to get from a cut break. But he hasn't quite made a ball. And Andy Cragg here will surely make quite light work of these.
It's the perfect layout to get into the match. Exactly what you want. No cannons, no problems, no clusters. One in the middle at the top of the table, just needs to decide which way he wants to play it. Goes into the centre pocket and the corner pocket, just has to work his route out, but there's no problems here.
Yeah, making light work of them as well. He's a pretty fast and flying player, is Andy Cragg, when he gets going.
Yeah, I don't think at the 45 seconds shot clock's going to catch him out at all. I think he's playing at under 15 before we get there.
Yeah, that was the only shot that was giving him some consternation, but he's managed to land pretty well. And this first frame could be about to get underway and out of the way very, very quickly. Andy Cragg making light work of this.
Lovely control, decided to play for it into the top left corner, and that's why he worked the previous shot to get high and get close to the top cushion as possible, just to make that control of that shot better. And from there, he's made very, very light work of it. Excellent visit to the table from Andy Cragg. We thought he would take them out, but you still have to do so. And dry break from Chris Day. It is 1-0 to Andy Cragg. Well, Stephen Jameson's popped out the commentary box to get a few words with the winner of our first match, Simon Fitzsimmons.
Yeah, I certainly have, Simon. That was a bit dramatic, wasn't it, towards the end? You make a habit of it in these matches. We thought history was going to repeat itself when you come to the table with 30 seconds left to win the match, but eventually you got there via a 6-red shootout. Talk us through your emotions.
Yeah, obviously the last frame, when I did eventually miss, I looked at the table and I thought I probably had a little bit more time than I was, thinking I had. Obviously I missed, and then you got to settle for the shootout and win the lag, put him in, and fingers crossed he goes over 30 seconds. You've got every chance.
Yeah, I know you'd back yourself in a 6-red shootout against most players as well, but when you see that time tick over 30 and he runs into a bit of trouble, you must be a pretty relieved man sat in your chair.
Yeah, absolutely. He hit the brake quite hard, really, and the difference was my brake pretty much stopped the white, and before all the balls were moving, I was already, getting into the finish, so I think that was a big advantage. How
do you rate your performance overall? So a few more missed pots than we're used to seeing you play, but your break in particular was flying.
Yeah, I broke really well. I think, I don't know what some of the other players have been like, but I just felt a bit of lack of sharpness, really. Potting wise, I felt okay when I was in the balls, but anything tricky, and kind of felt my arm was a bit wobbly, but that's probably just down to a lack of practice. So I'm not going to be the only one, so it's just a case of trying to get through, I think.
Yeah, no, you have got through. You've got a match up against one of these two in tonight's final. What do you make of these two out on the table at the moment?
Andy, I don't know a great deal of. Obviously, if he's in this event, he's going to be capable. Chris, I've played before. He actually beat me in one of the amateur events on one of the other tours. So I know he's a good player as well, so it's going to be a tough game either way.
Well, congratulations on making it through by hook or by crook, and we'll see you later on.
Cheers, thank you. I just want a quick wave to my little boy Alfie, if that's all right. Cheers, guys.
You've just done it. Hello, Alfie, and Simon, it's back to you.
Well, hello, Alfie. Your dad is into tonight's final. I'm sure he's going to be a bit sharper in that final in terms of the missed pots for having that match. If he is short of match practice, as so many people are with the last year or so that we have had, although it is so good to see the pool world opening up like the rest of the world. Tournaments happening up and down the country over the last weekend or two, and he's just podded himself into a little bit of trouble here. Just lost the cue ball. Decent break and a decent opportunity, but this is now a tough pot, but the cue ball is also going to be tricky to hold. Oh, lovely little flick on the yellow.
That'll do, yeah, absolutely. Andy Cragg on for a 2-0 lead. Lovely work from the Staffordshire man. That was a tough pot, and he's played that absolutely perfectly. Here he is, the man from Stoke-on-Trent. He's so local, he's even got the name of the club on the chest currently. He's a Staffordshire County player, and he's won some decent competitions in his time as well. That Leicester Triple Tier comp is a good one to win, as well as a Staffordshire Open runner-up. And players around here, if you know, you know, it is a hive of activity in the pool world, Staffordshire. And to go as far as that in a Staffordshire Open is pretty good going. You don't do that without being a good player. And Andy's certainly that. He showed us in the Champions League what he could do without quite making it through, and he'll fancy a little bit of this against Chris Day, particularly with the start that he's made.
Yeah, he came into tonight with the bookies saying he was the outsider of the 4, and he started reverse dish, break dish, so that tells you the standard of this competition.
Chris Day's made a ball. He'll be absolutely ecstatic with that. So at the minute, all he's done is play a break. Chris Day, at least on paper, has the more decorated CV in England international. Multiple-time team champion, both at world level and European level as well. Really experienced campaigner. And he's used to the pressure cooker of those big events. And when you're playing a team event, that's an altogether different pressure as well. That first shot has not quite gone how he planned it, and I think he's just about going to get away with it too.
Yeah, for a second I thought he'd gone in off, but I actually think he's been left okay here because the plant isn't that difficult. And that gets rid of a problem ball at the bottom of the table, so that actually has worked out better than it first looked like it was going to.
Yeah, and he's even slid it away as well from over the pocket, so this yellow just to the left of the triangle area goes. There's his good mate cheering him on, Sean Storey. We'll see him in a couple of weeks. Old autopilot. There's some support on the other side of the table.
Yeah, Leanne is Andy's sister. Leanne, a fantastic player in her own right, former European champion, and Zach Shepherd there as well, Leanne's partner. We'll be seeing Zach a little bit later on in the competition.
I think Zach might be in the final group. I think he's super late on in the tournament. Got to wait a little while until he makes his entrance. In the meantime, he'll carry on guessing the winners wrong on his podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a little rivalry going. Not easy to guess winners, though. We've seen that tonight. That first match so tight. This one promises to be as well. This has been a fantastic visit to the table.
Yeah, he's really quietly
Chris
gone about his business here, Chris, but this has been really quality.
Yeah, even you were touch fortunate to land like he did on that first shot. It looked like he was going in off, but from there it still wasn't easy. You know, to land nicely on the one down the rail, fantastic, and then that was a lovely little positional shot to land inch perfect. And the thing I find so impressive about this isn't just the clearance itself. If it was 0-0, I'd be raving about the clearance, but it's the fact that he's 2-0 down, he hasn't touched the table, and this is his response. It's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, really big. Just the response needed. Admittedly, I agree. I think he did get a touch of fortune with that first shot where he could play the plan, but since then he's actually been absolutely millimetre perfect. Not been a toe out of line on that clearance. A couple of lovely shots from CD, the man from Sudbury and Suffolk. He is a UK Tour Challenge winner, as well as multiple-time World Team Champion. I think he's got 3 of those to his name. He's lost count of the European ones as well. He's a very, very handy player. And anyone who can win a UK Tour event is a top quality operator.
Yeah, and I think the fact that his practice partner, Sean Storey, is that situation we've just seen by going 2-0 down, having not touched the table, that is an experience of playing top players. And if you're playing top players in practice, you're going to play them in competition. It can only help you when you go behind in those situations.
It's a monster of a break from Andy Cragg. He's crunched those. Right side of the table's interesting. Because ordinarily, I think you'd love to take reds here, but I don't think there's a way he is.
It's just neither colour set as nice. That red at the bottom right, really difficult to solve.
Yeah.
Yellows at the bottom right are also difficult to solve. You haven't really got one to pot to be able to open up the others. So looks like reds is going to be his choice, but it's possibly not one that's really that inviting.
Had to play a good first shot just to clear out one problem ball, and now it's a big, big problem to solve on the right side of this table. If he can do it, he'll win the frame. Rest of the reds in the 8-ball are there, but this is a big, big shot.
I think
trying to think how he can do it.
I don't think it's worth the risk. For me, this is one where you turn the table over. I think if he chases this and doesn't make it, then he's going to make it easier for his opponent. Because even if he finds an angle on one of the reds at the top of the table to go into the bad red, your chances of opening it up to a position where it goes is so slim because it's surrounded by 4 yellows that I just don't see that it's worth the risk. So for me, you either take the bottom right-hand corner or the top left-hand corner, whichever way you see it.
He's really looking through every possible option here. He played his extension for good measure, and yeah, we go into a safety battle.
So his choice was to get rid of the yellow at the top of the table and force Chris to play the yellows next to the red. He hasn't quite managed to do that.
Yeah, Chris can play the yellow in the triangle area, which is what Andy was trying to cover, I think.
He could just play this a touch thinner, don't make the pot on, and lay the snooker himself at the bottom of the table, or he could, if he's in aggressive mood, take the pot on. He'd only take the pot on if he has the perfect angle, and I don't know whether he has. It's close.
Yeah, I think reds were, I mean, both colour sets are difficult, there's no mistake about it, but I think you'd rather be yellows in this situation, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no doubt for me.
Yeah, so no attempt at the pot there.
Yeah, just drop it over. And he's actually teasing here, Andy here. He could have, if he wanted to, play a similar shot, but get the cue ball behind the yellows to the bottom right. He could have played that thinner. Okay, may not have quite covered the 8-ball in the same way, but if Andy gets the 8-ball, it would be a surprise. But he's left the cue ball where he did because he wants to tease Andy into trying to go for a finish here. Chris is really happy if Andy does take this on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if he does make it, then you hold your hands up and say well played, but odds are against him.
I think he's taking it on. I really do think he's taking it on, which is a huge gamble, but we love to see it. Here we go. This is the shot. Oh, I tell you what, that's a brilliant shot. The only question is, I don't think it doubles past that yellow in the middle of the table, and if it did...
For me, that was the problem. Even if you got into it and he hit that about as well as he could, your chances of getting it out were still low. And now you've got an angle on the one at the top where you can't do anything with it, and the red at the bottom doesn't double, doesn't treble, doesn't cut, there's nothing you can do. So that for me was a case of Andy chasing a finish that perhaps was too much odds against.
And there you have it. That's exactly what Chris Day wanted to happen. He was hoping for that. And for multiple reasons. Not only does it mean he's back at the table, but it means he's back at the table with a much better chance than where he left it, because these yellows are now out in the open.
Yeah, that's the problem you get. If you're from Andy's side of the table, to go for it, you had to open things up for yellows, and then yellows become the favourite colour set.
Not content with that chance, Chris has decided to lay a snooker, and that is going to be cue ball in hand, and Chris Day now has to go and win this frame.
Chris is a very clever player, and I think the way this frame has unfolded, if they're there, then Chris will take them on, but he's not going to be afraid to slow things down and tease Andy. That was very much his plan when he played the shot he did. He could have played the snooker, but he wanted Andy to have something to go at. So we could see any frame where it's a bit scrappy, we could see this pattern all the way through. Still not absolute certainty that he's going to clear up here. That 8-ball's awkward to land nicely on. The route isn't a road map. He has to work the cue ball quite hard. For me, I wondered whether he might leave the yellows at the top of the table, because the yellow he's about to play into the centre pocket for me was the ball I'd want to be playing onto the 8-ball with. And he could have left the yellows at the top once he got rid of the one in the middle first shot. He could have left the others at the top and then worked his way back to there. And he's obviously got a different plan. The way he's played this could well be leaving the yellow nearest the bottom left-hand corner as his last ball. And for me, that isn't a great ball to get onto the 8-ball with. If he leaves it thin, he comes twice across. If he's a bit thicker on it, then he actually might play the 8-ball out here because of the angle he's left himself.
Yeah, it could be the key shot to visit this.
No thoughts on moving the 8-ball. Just get as straight on this as possible and then screw back past the 8-ball. He could screw into the 8-ball, but I don't see the advantage.
Now he'll analyse that though, just to make sure. He's not one of the quickest players, Chris Day, but I think the word I'd use is methodical. He really does everything that he feels he needs to do to feel comfortable.
Well, in the end, he decided just to leave it where it was and take the 8-ball to the top left. And this is very tough.
Yeah, it's a good trust of your cueing, isn't it? Because from this distance away from the pocket, you have to get this right, and it's tough to do. He'll know early if this is in. And he knows it isn't.
That's a massive, massive let-off for Andy Cragg. And
huge.
I'm really surprised, if I'm honest. Even going the way he went and not leaving yellow over the middle pocket for last ball, I still thought he'd screw back for the 8-ball into the bottom left. Leaving it where it did really surprised me.
I just felt that was such a tough shot.
When we saw the angle, he could have screwed straight back and left that cut down the rail. That would have been easier than the shot he had. Or he could have screwed into it, where the odds of him knocking it into a better position were in his favour. I didn't expect him to leave the shot he did. I actually still thought he'd make it.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything you just said. But Andy Cragg steals another 3-1. Well, we saw the first two quarters of the draw a little bit earlier on. This is where we're at in quarter number 3. Next week is a belter. We're back on Monday nights, and we're back with a bang. As Lee Kendall is in action against Gav Robinson. That's a cracker. And Rona McCarthy versus Emma Cunningham. Battle that straight over from the Irish side of things. Ryan Davies, Chris Waddingham, Sean Story, Jake Dillon-Newloff, Sean here tonight. Young snooker sensation Ryan Davies, the younger brother of Aaron, who's in Group 12 against Shane Thompson, one of my ties of the round. And Zach Shepherd, who's here tonight, there he is. He's in Group 12, so...
Yeah, taking on John Chambers, a player I'm not sure we've seen on Free Sports yet, but a fantastic player with a big personality as well. Really looking forward to seeing John play.
Yeah, loads still to look forward to. This, I don't think I've ever been part of a competition with as deep a draw as this. It really just keeps on going and keeps on giving, doesn't it? Chris Day makes a ball off his break. He's actually broken pretty well, actually. One of the few players who breaks hand on table with the cut break like that, but it's pretty effective.
Yeah, I know that Chris gives a lot of thought to the break in terms of very aware of the golden break being available in this competition. Knows that that's going to give him the best chance of making a golden break. Something he's experimented with. Well, most players, I'd say, in the competition wouldn't break differently because of it unless they absolutely needed a golden break, say in the last frame with a few seconds left on the clock. But I think Chris is one that's experimented and will use it.
Yeah, both him and Sean have done that, haven't they?
Yeah.
Sean's had a golden break, I think, on Free Sports from memory.
I think he had a couple back in the Super Series. Our first event straight out of the first lockdown.
That feels like such a long time ago now, doesn't it?
It does.
It wasn't actually that long ago, it wasn't even a year. It was around about this sort of time last year that we were just starting to get back into the pool, wasn't it? With that Super Series.
Yeah, it was.
Goodness me, a year's gone by quickly.
It really has. We've been,
Considering I've done nothing.
yeah, we've been on pretty much every week since. It just shows the support that Free Sports have for Paul. It's been absolutely brilliant over the last few years. Very important visit to the table here for Chris. Good break to earn the opportunity, but having not made that clearance in the previous frame when he absolutely should have won the frame, he now needs to make sure, and he's got potentially another tricky 8-ball coming up. He wants the perfect angle on this red to land as nicely on this 8-ball as possible, and he has got that.
Yeah, he's not going to take this one to the top right, I can tell you that for free. Yeah, this is where you want to land on an 8-ball down the rail, because then it becomes an easy shot like this. 3-2. Cragg reduces his arrears, and he's back in contention as we take a look at the final quarter of the draw for the Masters. We'll see these guys in action in July. What a lineup as well. Just take a look at some of the names there. Neil Raybone, Arfan's dad, Brian Halcrow. Group 14 is the group for me to watch. Cannot wait for Omar Moonsheed, Carl Boys, and then Scott Gillespie, John Rowe, battle of the former world champion, should be a banger. Michael Hill versus Sean Chipperfield is the tie of the round for me. And Emin Mabouyounif and the soul man, John Sullivan, alongside them as well. Then we end with a really interesting group. John Kenneth, Lyden de Bono, and Jimmy Croxton, Sean Sharkey. It's another one of those groups where any one of the four really could go through, and just no stale tunes in this Masters draw. It really is deep, it really is quality.
Yeah, strength and depth everywhere. I think it best summed up in terms of the strength and depth, and if you look at the first quarter of the draw, I think we've already had 4 world champions, 5 if you include Phil Taylor, being knocked out of this competition.
That's artistic license if I've ever seen it.
You've got to try somewhere. But no, it just shows, you know, the players that we've already lost from this competition just highlight how strong and how deep this competition really is. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see how the rest of the tournament unfolds, but how the tournaments that follow unfold as well. This is a good chance again for Chris. The 3 straight good chances on the trot. He's taken one of them. Looks messier than it really is. That yellow, it does go into the right centre pocket, the one nearest it. Reds are not in the way, and it's a bit of a sort of natural route around the table from here.
Yeah, you see this every now and then where a table looks pretty horrible and quite congested, but actually, if you can pick your route well and be precise with the cue ball, this is a super easy clearance. Shouldn't have to play many difficult shots.
Yeah, lots of plain ball shots, roll throughs and soft stun shots, and you get out when you pick good routes. That's the puzzle of the game. That's what the great players do. It's what the great players pride themselves on. Michael Hill, arguably the greatest of them all. He talked about that in the last competition in one of his interviews, how much pride he takes in picking the right routes.
Yeah, there you go. That's how easy that top of the table section was. Chris Day, precise as ever. And bar a really small mental error, which I think we both can't quite understand why he took the option to go to the top of the table. He's been pretty flawless, actually, Chris Day. Played really well. And he ties things back up, just like we saw in our first match of the night. We've reached the halfway stage of the match, and it is 3 apiece. No idea who's going to take this one. Cannot wait for the final result. Who will play Simon Fitzsimmons in tonight's final? We will find out when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Delighted to tell you, you've missed nothing. This has been a real slow tactical battle since they went 3-3. Andy Cragg has just potted a ball and then played a little plant into the middle. And is this frame about to open up? It was a horrible one, Simon. It really was.
It was a terrible little split, but it's all about this one cannon, and it's similar to the previous or the first frame or second frame, I think it was. Andy wants to be aggressive and open things up and go for it, and it's not guaranteed to come out. And once again, it hasn't come out perfectly, but he has a shot. That's the important thing. Still has a clip back to the right centre pocket. He's just walking around to pick the potting angle out. So middle one of the three. Cue ball is the tricky part. And if he hits this gap, it's perfect. Difficult to tell whether he's come half a roll too far.
Oh, this looks too tight. Can you swerve it a little bit? I think you can see a bit of the ball.
I think he can pot the one to the next to the 8 ball, but I don't think he can pot the one in the centre. The one next to the 8 ball is tricky because he has to screw back to the same gap. Or he's come down lower, further up down the table because there's more margin of error, and that's actually a good shot.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
It looks a tricky pot into the centre, but this is as good as he was playing for.
Yeah, quite a good recovery this from Andy Cragg.
I think he's just missing the 8 ball with the path of the cue ball, so it gives him plenty of margin of error. It's all pace control.
Oh no! You are joking. That one came back up.
That's incredible.
Andy Cragg can't believe it, and I think he's well within his rights not to. Let's have a little watch of this.
I think he just hit this thin.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah, it looked like it still looked like it was going to drop. But if he catches that fraction thicker, I still don't think it reaches the pocket. It should, take a little bit more pace out of it. It was just, I think you could tell by the way he played the cue ball, he was just worried about over-hitting the cue ball too far down the table, and he actually had more room to play with than he thought.
Look how good he would have been on the 8 ball as well. That was frame ball.
What does Chris do here? We already know from previous frames that he's not afraid to play a tactical shot rather than go all out for the finish. He has an angle now to pop the one to the bottom left, and that'll take him into the 2 reds that are causing him some problems, or he could even leave those 2 reds there and play position on them if he wanted to. I just wondered whether he was going to play to try and pot the yellow, play a red onto the yellow and leave the cue ball behind that wall of reds. So we were essentially snookering Andy on the 8 ball, but he hasn't chosen to do that, so he is thinking about the finish here rather than anything else.
I think you have to, don't you, at this point?
We'll take that second little kiss on that red, just knocking it towards the right centre pocket, leaves him absolutely perfect. Just if he's absolutely straight, it's perfect because he can just follow through 2 or 3 inches, leave a lovely angle on the red to the bottom right to come up the table. Well, the overhead, maybe he's got a bit more angle than I first thought, so it's not as simple. If he tops it through, the cue ball will be going towards the red at the bottom of the table, which isn't ideal. He could raise the butt of the cue and play for that red in the centre pocket, but that might not leave him a good angle to get up the table. That's why he's taken a few extra seconds to really work this one out.
Yeah, it looks simple, right? The bare bones of this looks really simple, but actually picking your patterns and angles is a little bit tricky, as you've just explained.
And that's not good. Unless he's on the red to the top left.
I think he can get through, yeah, he's okay. Looked a little bit hairy for a moment.
Not sure if he was playing for this one at the top left or not, or whether he was playing some sort of half-ball cannon on that red or not. Slightly strange to play for the one on the top left if you're leaving yourself really hampered cueing off the cushion. But it isn't the worst angle. Oh, he's overhit this. He's overhit this quite a long way.
Yeah, he has. Well, he knows he can't go in off, so doesn't have to worry about that. It's all on the pot.
Yeah.
8 balls in the middle of the table. Just put every single egg in this bottom left-hand corner pocket pot.
That really helps you as well, actually, because this is quite close, I think, to the in-off. I think it's probably just a shade thin, but the fact the yellow's there, if it is naturally in-off, he can play the cannon and give himself a shot on the 8 ball. He'd love to avoid it, though.
Our pot's crisp. Drops the yellow in. Absolutely perfect. There you go. That yellow over the pocket really did help him there. That pot was perfect from Chris Day. Right down the middle. And he goes in front 4-3. This is a really, really close game. We figured we might see 2 really close battles here tonight. That's exactly what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, and this time he works it out really well. He thought he was going to run into trouble there. It was previous frame, I think, what was it, frame 3 or 4, where I think it was frame 4, where he had an opportunity to win the frame after Andy went for it, and he didn't manage to make the counter clearance, and that may well have been in his head there, especially as it was starting to get away from him in their last couple of positional shots.
The other 2 fellas had a little word. Sorry, in the corner, literally. Oh, Andy Cragg's come dry. And yeah, I can understand that body language. That's a frustrating one. Yeah, how's that not gonna ball? Poor guy.
Yeah, that's exploded exactly as you want it to. Caught that well enough. That's where there is some luck in the break. The only thing for Andy's side of the table is the fact that at least he hasn't left a really easy run out, which we've seen a couple of times tonight from dry breaks. If Chris is going to take this out, it's going to be a good clearance because both yellows and reds have their problem. Looks like reds is his choice, and the red nearest the 8 ball is a real bad red to try and work out.
Yeah, you sounded surprised at that when you said
well,
reds initially.
I just thought the yellow at the bottom was easier to solve, but I guess there's a yellow at the top of the table that was tricky. But actually, when you looked at the overhead shot, you realised that red at the bottom is fine for a double, but he's not even going to take on the finish.
Yeah, that's as played.
Get yourself a colour set and then take control of the frame with some tactical shots isn't the worst choice either.
That's also quite a clever shot from Andy Cragg. Good riposte. You can pot your opponent's ball in this rule set as long as you play a legal shot in doing so. Andy Cragg, in playing yellow first, did exactly that. Well, he's giving Chris quite a bit to think about here. This isn't an easy safety response.
That's a decent shot. I wanted to absolutely make sure he didn't clip the yellow that's near that red in the top portion of the table. Didn't want to knock that on because that's now currently a safe yellow. We know that Andy wants to play aggressively, so he has an option to pot a ball here and go for a finish if he wants it. But it does need to solve 2 problem balls. Well, that solved 1. What a lovely shot that is.
What a hell of a shot that is.
He plays with some real confidence, doesn't he? And
yeah,
he really does.
I would say just naked aggression.
Yeah.
It really is bold to take that on. It's a brilliant shot, though.
So that leaves him 1 more yellow to solve. Yellow at the bottom of the table. Now, I'm not sure if it will double to the centre pocket. It will double to the bottom corner.
I think it goes to the bottom left as well if you can find a way to land behind it. But a bit that's difficult.
It might go to the left centre if he can get around there as well.
Yeah, I think it does, yeah.
Definitely goes in the centre pocket. It's just about finishing on an angle on something to try and land there.
That might be easier said than done now.
Can't do it from this shot, but if he gets across to the left-hand side...
Oh, no.
Wow, that's a bad miss. That really is. He was thinking about the angle on the last yellow. He was thinking about the next yellow, rather. He wanted to make sure he was just past straight so that he could use the bottom cushion and come up behind the yellow into the middle pocket.
So much so, that miss is by such a wide distance, it almost looks like he's tried to play it off the red.
No, for me, I think...
But I don't think he was.
I think his attention was just not on the pot. I think it was such an easy pot that he gave no attention to the pot whatsoever, and he was just only ever thinking about the pace of the stunning the cue ball across the table and completely took his eye off it.
That's an amazing miss from Andy Cragg. He may well get away with it. Chris Day plays safe. Andy Cragg just takes the easy option in doing so. This is now going to be a pretty mean snooker. It's not snooker. So Chris was going to make that a little bit more difficult to hit, but he's like to enable Andy a route to hit this yellow and give him a bit of a problem.
I just wonder if there's doubles, maybe trebles. You know that Andy wants to be aggressive. He knows he's behind in a tactical exchange. No, just got to play safe, and it is a good safety.
It's a very good safety. Yeah, really good.
The problem he has is it's not difficult for Chris to return. You know, he can just leave the cue ball where he did previously. At some point, Andy's going to have to take something adventurous on.
We know he will do that as well. That's a clever shot. It's a really good shot from Chris Day. He's got a real eye for the tactical play, doesn't he?
He's possibly got closer to the yellow than he ever really planned, but yeah, absolutely.
Oh, moment of magic from Andy Cragg. And he's been rewarded with nothing but pain. That is so tough. What a shot that is.
That is really unlucky.
Oh, that's horrible.
Because he's got, if you take that right away, he's got the perfect angle on the yellow to the bottom left to land on his last ball. It's just incredibly unlucky.
Oh, that's a sickener. That's one of the shots that tournament for me. That was absolutely nowhere. To return out of that safety from Chris Day by playing a pot like that was brilliant. And that is just so unlucky. Chris has to be careful here. This red must go if he's playing it. We've also sort of, because this frame's lasted so long, we've sort of sleepwalked into the 15-second shot clock here. And I totally didn't realise, so engrossed in this frame I was. We've now only got 8 minutes and change remaining. Every frame out from here absolutely crucial. That bit of luck, or bit of bad luck for Andy Cragg, could be decisive if Chris Day goes 2 frames up here.
Yeah, it really could be, and he was very unlucky. I have to say, that first shot from Chris, I really like it. Not just obviously potting the ball, the one that was going to be hardest to land on, but to leave yourself the angle just to play that little half-ball cannon on the 8-ball so that you nudge the 8-ball into a pottable position at the bottom of the table. He could have left it where it was and played position on it in the middle, but that means you have to play a good positional shot from your last ball. So it took the risk and played it perfectly.
2-frame lead with 7.5 minutes remaining. Chris Day is moving closer, but how is your luck? That is such a good shot to get such little reward.
Yeah, if that is a shade full of contact, and he can see that yellow at the bottom, it is the perfect angle. That's the difference between being 4-4 and 5-3 down. Just really hard for Andy. Although, you have to say, if you're in Andy's camp, Andy will probably be thinking about, rather than the bad luck, he'll be thinking about the miss he had when he had it in his own control to make the clearance.
True. Very, very true. Big break this for Chris Day. If he can go 3 frames up at this juncture, he'd become a massive, massive favourite. He's already pretty handily placed in the favourite tag, but win this and he's got 1 foot in tonight's final. Oh, that 8 ball was tracking towards that middle pocket. That's going to come up dry. And the only thing you would say, if you're Chris Day, is with the nature of that break, this has created a pretty big minefield on the left side of the table. I don't think it's easily solvable.
I think if you're Chris Day, you're actually as happy as you can be, really. I think, okay, if you made a ball with a great opportunity, you'd be thinking about going another frame ahead, but 7 minutes left on the clock and you have a break that's almost guaranteed to add some minutes to or tick off some minutes, and you know your opponent wants to be aggressive, so if Andy goes for a finish that's not there because of the clock and his own aggression, you know, Chris Day will be happy to sit there and watch it.
Chris Day absolutely happy to make this frame as difficult as possible, as we saw with that last shot. That was a really horrible little shot. But Andy here is going to try and do everything he can to sling this white round the table and make something happen. He's unlucky again. Great cannon, missed the pop though. Chris Day won't go for this unless it's there. There's not a huge amount of mileage in doing that. Going to keep forcing Andy to play difficult shots to try and make him beat himself in this frame.
Yeah, and if you're in Andy's shoes, you feel like that's the way you're going to win this frame, is by coming up with something incredible rather than... He's got long enough if he wanted to fight out a tactical battle, but even if that's actually a good choice of shot for me, for Andy, just to open up the two biggest problems on the table.
Yeah, Chris now for me has to be aggressive or play a very, very good safety.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you now run the risk, if you're Andy, of losing the frame from that shot, but if Chris doesn't clear up, then you'll still win with a chance, but you'd rather things happen quickly from Andy's side of the table.
Yeah, you just saw him there, I think, take a little look at the match clock.
Lovely.
Oh, that's a lovely touch. It's a brilliant shot. And now Chris Day, big favourite to win this frame and to win the match, because 3 frames clear with, what will it be, about 4 minutes remaining, is a big, big lead. Not an insurmountable lead, but it's a pretty good one.
Just wonder if either of those two reds go to the top right-hand pocket. If not, he has to get far enough up the table to probably make a plant. I don't know if he can cut the one nearest the pocket in directly. And that's probably what he's played for.
Yeah, it has to be, right?
Or a back double, potentially. Maybe one of them goes, it's difficult to tell. It's the back double.
Got that all wrong.
And that's what Andy wanted. So Andy has run the risk. He has taken a bit of a gamble, but he's been rewarded. Not an easy finish, but far easier than anything else he would have had to look at in this frame if he'd played out the tactical battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Decent chance this, though.
Yeah, would like to get rid of that one on the top cushion as soon as possible.
So then, this would take it to 5-4 with about 3 minutes remaining. And it is Andy's break next as well, which is big. There is legs in this match yet, you feel.
Yeah, I like the way he's going about this. For a second, I thought he was going to come down the table, but I think you have to absolutely get rid of this one at the top. It's easier to land on the 8 ball from the yellows at the bottom, whichever order you take them in, than it is to play on it from the top of the table, even though it's in the top of the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big bounce, wants a big bounce. You can see he's waving it to get it. He could have done with another foot on that if he's honest, but it's still okay.
Yeah, he won't mind that. Doesn't want to be behind the red. He's okay. He's okay. Well then, 3.5 minutes left. 1 frame in it. Where's your money, sight? This is so tight and close.
A lot's going to come down to this next break, isn't it? It's massive from Andy, and he's been unfortunate on the break so far. I feel like he's hit 4 great breaks, but 2 of them have come up dry. If he manages to make a ball with the power of the breaks he's been hitting, then you feel like he's going to give himself a great chance.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is... We thought at the start of the night this would be a very, very close night, especially the first 2 matches. And I don't think I've ever been more right. You really cannot split these 2 players. Support on either side. Focused. Dialed into this one.
I was just wondering whether Zach's there to support, whether he actually picked him to win this match or not in his prediction battle.
That's the worst break Andy's hit.
And he's made a ball and he's got a good split.
How do you like it?
I thought that was going to be a perfect split, but that red and yellow have just come together. So he does have one cannon to play, but I quite like the look of these yellows.
Extension called early.
The reason I like the yellows is there's a couple of ways of developing the yellow that's a problem for you. If that's got in the way of that yellow to the bottom corner, then that's caused a problem, but it's hard to tell.
That's the key shot. Oh, he's missed the pot. Oh, no, don't miss the pot, Andy. Played the clearance really well. But he can't take his eye off the pot at this stage of the match. That could cost him everything. Chris Day with a great chance here to go and see out the match at this point. What is it? 6 reds on the table plus the 8 ball. Best part of 2 minutes.
You feel he needs to make the clearance, though. I don't think he can kill the clock. Oh, Andy's going to be so frustrated. That was a good chance. That was the only ball he had to work out.
That was the game's deciding moment. If Chris Day goes and finishes this clearance, which you'd back him to do from this juncture. This is a simple red, which should tee him up in the bottom of the table. Come back up the rail for the red into the bottom right.
Oh, no.
Well, drama. 1 minute 50 on the clock. Andy Cragg here. Are we about to see a back-to-back shootout showdown?
I'm just wondering with that last shot from Chris, whether it was an out-and-out bounce out or whether he just put it into the side of the pocket.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it just didn't look right.
Of all the times to have it. We've had 2 in the last 2 weeks, didn't we? We didn't have one all tournament long. We've had 2 in the last couple of weeks.
It's interesting that the table's just been reclothed as well. I don't know if that's playing a part in it or not.
Not a foul, don't forget. Andy Cragg just throwing everything at that one, trying to force something to happen. Chris Day's got a little bit of a problem here, actually. Because he can't chew the clock enough to win the match by taking the clock out. But this is a difficult clearance.
It is, but he's got 2 guaranteed shots, so that's 30 seconds, and you're unlikely to be cleared up on for 14, 15 seconds. So he can now screw into the problem. So he's got another 20 plus seconds. He's all but won now. He can kill the clock enough. Unless Andy can clear them all in one shot.
Well then, 20 seconds for Andy Cragg. Try and keep his hopes alive. Couldn't do it. Andy Cragg is going to concede. Well, a really close match. A smile and a laugh exchange between 2 players, but Chris Day has scrambled, has clawed his way over the line. That was such a close battle. But Simon, I think just about Chris Day did shade it. You take a look at the stats there. Andy Cragg certainly probably had more opportunities at the table, 5 missed pots, 2 fouls. But Chris just about doing enough to get himself through.
Yeah, for me, I think it wasn't the amount of mistakes that Andy made, it was the key ones that he made. There was a couple of pots in there, a couple of chances where he could have really hurt Chris, and he didn't take them, and he sort of let Chris off the hook a little bit. I think Chris came in with a game plan, played a quite cagey match against Andy, and I think overall you have to say it probably did work, although he let one of the 2 chances go himself. But yeah, you have to say that Chris probably just edged it and deserved the win.
narrow win minds though it was. Chris Day then is into tonight's final. That sets it up. Simon Fitzsimmons versus Chris Day. We'll speak to Chris as well when we return. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. We have tonight's final set. It's Chris Day against Simon Fitzsimmons. CD making it through against Andy Cragg. Simon, that was such a close game. It spoke to Chris in the interview a moment ago, which we'll see in a moment, where it was so crazy, the finish, because at one point it looked odds on that Chris was winning. Another, it looked like odds on we were going to a shootout. At another point in the last 2 minutes, it looked like Andy was going to go and win the game. That was so close there at the finish. It was decided on a few really key moments.
Yeah, I think when Andy looks back at this, he'll probably be quite frustrated, because I actually think he was playing some pretty good pool there. There was just one or two really key shots, almost careless, that got away from him. If he makes those shots, all of a sudden, he's the one that's probably the odd frame ahead rather than the odd frame behind. So I think Andy's going to be really frustrated. But for Chris, I think he's pretty clear that he came in with a game plan and he executed it pretty well, with one or two mistakes in there. But it'd be interesting for me to see what style of pool Chris plays in this tonight's final against Simon Fitzsimmons, whether he's going to continue to sort of allow his opponent to try and take out a finish, almost bait them into going for the finish when they're not quite there, which is a dangerous game to do against someone of Simon's level, because we have seen him take out just, incredible finish after incredible finish. For me, I think for Chris to win this match, he needs to get the majority of the opportunities and to start taking a few more of them from his first visit, and really start to put the pressure onto Simon. We know that Simon's playing well, but we also know that Simon's making enough mistakes to give Chris a chance to win this match.
Yeah, do you think at this stage Chris probably needs to level up a little bit to get that victory against Simon Fitzsimmons? This seems to be a bit of a level up in terms of opponent, for sure. Simon probably wasn't at his best tonight, but he said to us earlier in his interview he felt like he was getting back into it again. He was warming up, as it were, with that first match.
Yeah, I expect Simon to be sharper in this match than he was in his first match, and he still took out some great finishes in his first match, and his break was still massive. He just missed a few more balls, and his cue ball wasn't quite as tight as we're normally used to seeing with Simon. So I expect Simon to be better for having the match practice, and also the fact that he's had a chance to play his match and go away and reset and get himself ready for this next match. I expect him to be sharper. So for me, Chris is more than capable of winning this match, but he needs to start taking a few more of his first visit chances to really put the pressure on.
Well, let's take a look at the arena right now. We are almost ready to go. Tonight's final is set. It's the bouncer versus CD. There it is, confirmed. Should be a great game, this one. As I mentioned, we will hear from Chris in the gap between the two frames coming up. Simon Fitzsimmons then has the first break. He won the lag, and he broke so well in that first game. Kept giving himself opportunities, which, despite the fact that he missed a fair few shots that he wasn't expecting, really helped him out. And it's a surprise to see him break dry. I believe, so it's the first time he's broken dry all night, which, given that we've had a full match, is pretty impressive from Fitzsimmons.
Yeah, it's another massive break, though. He still caught them beautifully. It's just the nature of the game. Sometimes you can hit them as well as you can, and you're going to come up dry. First opportunity then for Chris, and it looks a good opportunity in terms of the lay of the table, but it's not a great chance. He's got a red to go up, but you probably want, I was going to say you want yellows, but the yellow next to the 8 ball's a real problem. So he's decided to play the safety, and if Simon can pop this yellow to the left centre pocket, then it's a little bit of a dangerous shot from Chris. Other option for Simon might be to take the yellow up to the top right, the one that's nearest the right centre pocket. He's going to be the one in the centre pocket. If this goes in, he should give himself a good chance.
Yeah, good chance confirmed. This is a great opportunity for the bouncer.
It's a slightly loose opening safety shot from Chris. It's okay to play the safety. I can absolutely see why he's played the safety. It wasn't a good chance for him, but he's played the safety and nudged the only safe yellow on the table into a potable position. So a bit of a disaster, really.
yeah, can't see too many problems here for Simon if he makes these pots pretty safely. Nothing too difficult to do. 8 balls in the open.
I think he's a touch straighter than he wanted to be on this yellow to the top right. He may have just enough angle to punch it and force the cue ball back out. I had to use 2 cushions with a touch of right-hand side, but he's played it well. I think that, to me, that last shot that he's just played shows that the confidence is there again in terms of, you know, time will tell whether he's feeling a bit more match sharp than the first match, but
it's interesting to hear that feedback, wasn't it, from Simon? Because we did wonder that when he was playing. It has been a while since we've seen him on a competitive table.
Yeah, but he's played the shot he played 2 cushions with the running side was, to me, it could have easily finished behind the reds, but he played it with real pinpoint control. So he's got some confidence out there.
Yeah, that was a confident finish, wasn't it, from Simon Fitzsimmons? Let's hear from his opponent then after that great victory over Andy Cragg, a match which could have gone absolutely any way. Chris Day made it through, and in the interval, I caught up with the man they call CD. Well, Chris, joining us just after that match has concluded. Talk us through the emotions of that final 2 minutes, because that flew from, it looked like Andy winning, it looked like a 6-red shootout, to eventually you going over the line. It was wild.
Yeah, it was a tough one to manage. Didn't know whether to try and manage it by winding the clock down or to try and get another frame on the board and go sort of too far out of his reach. It's a bit betwixt and between, really. But if that red hadn't popped out the middle, I think I would have got those and made the right decision, but who knows.
It was a crazy moment. That you must have thought at that point it's all going against you, but you got over the line in the end. How excited are you for tonight's final? Because it's a great match in prospect, you versus Simon Fitzsimmons.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I love the way he plays. He's very attacking. I think I've played him once before on a tour. I think I've won 6-5.
He did mention that earlier.
It was dish, and he dry broke the last one, so fingers crossed, same again please, Si.
Best of luck, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Dish, he says. I can believe that, the standard of these 2 players. And Chris Day here with the chance to start that trend in this final match here, in this last 32 encounter within the Ultimate Pool Masters.
Talking about dish, I think one thing that was slightly overlooked by me in that summarising that last match was the fact that Chris had to sit there and watch his opponent, Andy, dish from the first 2 frames. So he started the match 2-0 down before he touched the table. So when you consider that, you know, he's played really well to get back into the match and actually.
How much does experience play a part in that? Because Chris has been around the block in the pool world. He's such an experienced campaigner for England in international pool, and there's not too many things that he wouldn't have seen on a pool table, I wouldn't imagine, at this stage of his career, and that experience probably quite important in a game like that.
Yeah, absolutely. A lesser player who's not used to playing top players may not have experienced having to start 2-0 down essentially. You know, but when you play top players regularly, and I mentioned it at the time, you know, playing Sean Story as a regular practice partner, you know, he would have been 2-0 down without touching the table a lot of times, and you just have to keep reminding yourself, you know, that it's a long match and you have to take your next opportunity, which he did. You know, he responded with a break dish of his own to get into the match, and then you're up and running and things can turn around, and looks like he's going to respond to only going 1-0 down this time, but with a break dish.
About to be 1-1. Chris Day making light work of this second frame. Lovely job from Chris Day. He is away in this one. The Suffolk boy from Sudbury. Plenty of titles to his name, quite a few of them with the England team. He's lost count of European titles that he's won in the team competition with England. He's a 3-time world team champion, as well as a UK Challenge Tour winner as well. There he is with his good mate Sean Story. See Sean in a couple of weeks. feel like he's staring into my soul down the camera there. It's short. I felt like he must have, his ears must have been burning.
He's probably annoyed for having to move around the arena to the other side. Let's see if Simon can get back on and make some balls off the break. Yes, he can. But one of them's the white, so that's unfortunate for Simon. He really does explode the pack as well as anyone. The amount of power going through that pack is incredible. But really unlucky to pop the cue ball in the centre pocket. And look at the split that Chris Day comes to the table with. Reds are his choice. He just wants to play one little cannon here just to get that red out. Just top through, bump it on and off and leave it near the centre pocket. Just like that. And now these all go. Yes, the one to the bottom right-hand corner looks tight, but there's enough room to land on that and play position. Especially if he leaves the one over the right centre, he can play the one to the bottom right-hand corner and just drop it in and know he's got the ready-made ball for him to follow. He could even leave those as his last two if he wanted to. I think he's going to go after them now, get them out of the way. Interesting that he's playing the one to the bottom corner first, the one that's nearest the centre pocket. Maybe there was less room there than I gave it thought. I thought he could pop the one nearest the pocket cleanly and just rest into the yellow, but playing at that the way he did tells me that he probably couldn't when he's played that shot beautifully to open things up. Oh, now he's popped the cue.
Hello.
That's a bad error from Chris. Having opened up the frame, really poor error to pop the cue ball. Had plenty of margin to not risk going near that centre pocket. It's just a shot that he's got all wrong. Gives Simon cue ball in hand and he can pick a very precise shot at the bottom of the table that it would have been difficult to land on.
Yeah.
And once you can do that, then they all unfold really comfortably and easily. Not sure the two yellows that are together, the bottom one of the two goes independently, but as long as he comes far enough down the table, easy enough to take the top one of the two and stay on the other one, unless he's on the side cushion. That's not a good shot from Simon. Needed to be off the cushion enough to be able to screw back or be further down the table. No, the bottom one went anyway, so that was fine.
Yeah, never in doubt.
Never in doubt. I just wasn't sure that one went, but Simon obviously knew, and it was fine.
So Fitzsimmons gets over the line. Just in the end, this was the key moment. Chris Day just getting his angles ever so slightly wrong.
He played that with so much pace, I think he was going right up to the top of the table, was trying to avoid that centre pocket high, and rather than playing on the one in the bottom of the table.
Here he is then, the man from Radcliffe in Manchester. Big United fan is Simon Fitzsimmons. He's the Shootout Grand Final winner as of the end of 2019. Won't ever forget watching that. And the Black Ball World Championships runner-up in 2017 as well.
Chris Day sticking with his break that's he's been using all night long. Hit this one a bit firmer. Lost control of the cue ball because of it, but he's made a ball. Just caught it a bit thin this time.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a change, wasn't it?
Yeah, not the greatest layout though. Red by the 8 ball is a bit of a problem, but he may well just take reds here, move the red away from the 8 ball and leave the cue ball where the red is. It's a great way of developing your only bad ball on the table at the same time as leaving it snookered. Next time you come to the table, you'll have an opportunity. That's the plan, or Simon's going to try and stop that happening, but it's not easy from a snookered position. Has to hit a ball and then hit a cushion after contact. You would normally say if that wasn't the case, you could just come on and off and rest on the one at the top, but you can't, so have to hit it firmer.
Oh, I think that was as played as well. That'd have been a lovely little shot.
It's still not the worst result for Simon. Blocked off 2 reds to the left centre pocket. Could see Chris playing a skill shot in a couple of shots' time to open things up. First positional shot's tricky enough though.
That's a pretty good shot as well. The reds on the left side of the table are obviously Chris's biggest problem, and it's not the easiest solve either. The one up at the top goes to the right middle. Can he land on it here? Is he going to track across the table and nip in behind it? I think so. He's not quite gone far enough, if that was the plan. Not entirely sure it was, but I think it was.
He could have been playing the skill shot, could have been playing to land on that one to the centre pocket. And either way, he's finished short. And now he has not a huge amount, maybe a plant. I'm not sure he's got the full pocket. Big angle he's got to find though. I think that's what he's going to be playing though. No. Something else. Just a safety. And it's not particularly safe. Simon can't pot this one to the left centre pocket. Obviously pot a couple of choices to the bottom of the table as well. Harder pots, but may give him more control. He could take the one to the left centre if he could just drop it in and hold for one of the yellows down the rail. Could play it firmer and try and bump into them. It's not ideal, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's getting there, isn't it? The conclusion to this frame. It's been a bit of a scrappy one.
The confident shots to take this to the top left.
Yeah, this will see how Simon Fitzsimmons is feeling. You just feel like he's warming up, don't you?
Yeah, take the shot that's going to make the clearance the easiest, even though it's not the easier of the 2 pots on. I think he would have liked to have been straighter on this yellow, because the yellow in the triangle area doesn't go to the second pocket. He'd love to have just been able to come back for it in the opposite corner pocket, but had more angles, had to play across the table to come back across the table. So every time you're making the cue ball move, you're just adding to the tariff, but he's played that last shot absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, lovely. got there in the end, hasn't he, Simon Fitzsimmons, in this frame? It's been a tricky one for either player to win. But for a frame with a little bit of mileage, Simon Fitzsimmons gets over the line and goes 3-1 up here. As we remind you of our Ultimate Pool Masters draw. Last 16 is lined up. Shepherd Melling, Harrison Chilton. And Simon Webb here just doing some calculations on the TV in front of us as we take a look at the second quarter, as Carl Sutton will take on Sam Bircher. Josh Kane versus Declan Brennan is the second week of last 16 draws. So what were you counting now, I've got to ask?
I was just counting to confirm the number of world champions that were knocked out in the first quarter, and I think by my money it is the four pool world champions, I should say. Obviously Phil Taylor as well.
Yeah, how many world championship titles, if you include Taylor, went in the first round?
It's in the 20s.
But crazy to think, isn't it?
It really is. Some big names, especially in that first quarter. Some big names went in the second quarter as well, but quite a few world titles fell in that first quarter.
Yeah, you just look at the names that didn't make it through. I mean, you look at the names that did, and you think, yeah, Shepherd Melling, and then Harrison Chilton is an amazing force, and that could be a finals night in its own right. The names that didn't make it through, you know, Jansen, Farnsworth, McAllister, just off the top of my head.
Carl Morris,
who was amazing, by the way, in that group 4. Him and Chilton put on an incredible show. I think what it does do for me, Simon, especially with the Ultimate Pool Tour, Pro Tour announced fairly recently as well. I dare say I think we'll see a fair few players we've seen in this competition on that Pro Tour. It just fills me with so much optimism and excitement for the future, you know. We'll see such good players on the regular.
Yeah, for me it's absolutely fantastic. You know, we haven't talked about it a huge amount. A touch fortunate there, got Cannon didn't want there, Simon, but we haven't talked about it a huge amount on the show so far. But yeah, the recent announcement from Ultimate Pool of the Pro Tour, it's a massive step forward for the pool world. It's going to be a serious amount of prize money being thrown in by sponsors and players starting to play for sort of prize pots that they really deserve to be. It really is, for me, it does feel like a new era for the sport, or the start of a new era. And I'm very excited to see how the rest of this year unfolds and what will come after that. Simon really stepping in and punishing that mistake from Chris, not just making the counter clearance in the previous frame, but hammering that point home by making that break dish in this frame. It's what great champions do.
It is. It absolutely is. And Chris Day here is facing the most sort of adversity that he has done all night. And he had a fair amount in his match with Andy Cragg. This is at quarter 3, not quite as it stands, as Simon Fitzsimmons and Chris Day, of course, have made it through from Group 9 as things stand. But next week should be a belter. We're back on Monday nights, and we're back with Lee Kendall, Gav Robinson. Lee Kendall on home soil here at the Players' Lounge in his own club. And then Rona McCarthy, Emma Cunningham.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough week, I think, for Lee. Lee's a great player, but heavily involved in the running of Ultimate Pool, and I've been in that situation myself. To try and play pool whilst doing that is very difficult. I know it's something that he gave a lot of thought about doing, but you know, before deciding to play.
I think when that group came out, he probably regretted his decision instantly. Thrown into a bit of a group of death with the likes of Gav Robinson and Rona and Emma as well. Really difficult group to come out of. Massive
Massive visit for the table here for Chris. really needs to, for me, he needs to not just win a frame. I think he needs to win a frame with a statement clearance and remind Simon that he's still there. This is a good chance. There is a problem ball to solve. Tried to land on it there. He just wanted to avoid that cannon on the 8-ball and drift down to take the 8-ball, sorry, the red that is near the yellow into the left centre pocket, and that little flick on the 8-ball's just messed things up. I think it's going to be a safety option, I think. I don't know whether he can see the ball at the top of the table. Might be trying to pot this off the cushion.
Oh, some shot that. Some shot that. He hasn't really been rewarded much, though. If he caught this second red a little bit thinner, he'd have been in dreamland. That's such a good pot from Chris Day. He's a little unlucky with where that white ball's ended up. He can still continue if he wants to, but this is really tough now.
With everything we've seen from Chris tonight, I'll be very surprised if he does continue. He does have a potting option on to the left centre pocket, but we haven't seen him chase bad finishes so far tonight. He's waited for better opportunities. He has control with that red over the bottom left-hand corner. Although with international 8-ball rules, having a ball over a pocket in that sort of situation isn't the sort of control it can be in other rule sets. Don't think there's too much thought or too many thoughts here of Simon trying to pot anything and go for a finish or a skill shot in a couple of shots' time. I think it's just find a good area on the table. But it is difficult. I think wherever he leaves the cue ball on the table here, he's going to leave Chris some sort of pot on. And
it's just whether Simon takes the option that we've seen Chris do a few times tonight of going, well, we'll leave it difficult. If you want to go for it, go for it. That's a pretty good safety there, having said that.
Yeah, decided to try and get an extra ball into the area in front of that red, block off the path to that red for Chris, and he's done well. He would have preferred the two yellows to not go together in such a way, but he won't mind the fact that it is quite nicely blocked off for Chris. I think if I'm Chris here, I wouldn't mind trying to get rid of the red that's a problem, try and get that into a more potable position. The one he's playing now, yeah, I quite like this, even if you're not going to get it that safe. Oh, what a shot. What a shot that is.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. How on earth is that cut?
And now the shot that Simon played is really helping him here because the path through to this red isn't on. Again, Simon needs to be really careful because there is a gap through to that red. You know, there is gaps through to that red. They are small, but if he leaves a pot at the top of the table, you're giving Chris an opportunity to find that gap.
So this already just
he's
looking
potting a red here. Sorry, it's just going to...
Yeah, it's a clever shot, that. I don't think he's left the one at the top of the table either, which is a good shot from Simon. But it's an important frame. We're looking at the clock now, just ticking over the halfway point of this last 32 match. Tonight's final between Simon Fitzsimmons and Chris Day. Officially in the second half of it now. So you're pretty confident it's not going to go to the scoreboard. This will go to 0 on the clock. And there's a little bit of mileage left in this frame yet as well. If Chris Day goes 4 frames behind here, it could well be an insurmountable task to pull it back. It's a massive frame for Chris. Less so for Simon. Not essential for him to win it, but it's probably essential for Chris to win. It's a great shot to get out the snooker, by the way. But Simon now will probably take these on.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I really do. I think, though, the mannerisms and the the way he looks around the table. I think Simon's just really comfortable in his own game right now. So even if he was to lose this frame, I don't think it would worry him too much. He'd just get back on and go for the next. He might start to think about it if he lost the frame after that. But he has the perfect opportunity here to get that 4-frame advantage that we talked about. Just has to open up the 2 yellows that came together poorly.
Yeah, did that brilliantly as well. And a 4-frame lead is a big one at this stage of the match. It really is.
Well, that's not the best positional shot Simon's ever played. There's pressure on this next pot.
Yeah, there is.
Question
That's
whether
it's
he might,
about a foot short.
Yeah, he may not even take this on. If he wanted to, and Simon's not the player that sort of turns down chances like these. If he wanted to, he could half ball the yellow that's on the bottom and just drift up behind the yellow in the triangle area.
Not the type to do that.
No, absolutely not.
Plenty of players would. Simon Fitzsimmons is not plenty of players. It's a great shot. And he's potting with a bit of authority and a sense of confidence. Wasn't always there against his first round opponent, Mike King. Big lead now for Simon Fitzsimmons, 5-1. Chris Day is on the ropes here. We're past the halfway point. We're going to take a quick break. The winner of tonight will be revealed when we come back. Welcome back to Ultimate Pool, the Masters. You've not missed much in the break, let me tell you. In fact, you've only missed 1 shot. Let's take a look at it. Came from Simon Fitzsimmons on the break. Would you believe it? 6-1 up to the bouncer. A golden break in the break. And he now is a massive, massive favourite to go and win this match. A 4-frame lead has become a 5-frame advantage. Chris Day now is huge odds to progress through from here.
Yeah, every time, the 8-ball's going close again. Every time Chris has made a mistake, Simon's not just stepped in and punished it in that frame, he's also won the next frame either with a break dish and this time with a golden break. So Simon really stepping in and punishing mistakes in this match. We said before the match started that Chris needs to up his game and take out lots of first visit chances. Well, he really does now. If he's going to turn this match around, he needs at least 5 frames in the next 20 minutes, and he's not going to do that unless he starts taking out chances like these.
Yeah, and he's going to have to do a few more than that as well.
The only ball that's a real problem for him here is that 8-ball. Look from the overhead, you can see there's no way you can pop that 8-ball, I think, into the corner. So some sort of cannon required. From the main camera, it looks like there might be a chance to drop it in off the jaw, but overhead looks too tight to me, although I have been fooled before. Well, he had to move it, and he has done.
Done it well too.
Yeah, I was going to say the only problem he's got by moving it is the fact he's left off angle now on the yellow to the right centre. Has to play around with those reds to the top of the table. May not be able to get too close to the yellow, or what would be his last yellow. Yeah, accepting distance. Good choice for me.
Yeah, played the shot well. Made sure he could see it, and that's easily the most important thing.
Doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. He could punch this in and try and get on the 8-ball into the centre. He could just drop this in and take the 8-ball to the top left corner. Makes this shot easier, but the 8-ball harder. Well, with this angle, you would punch back.
Yeah, got to, right? Can't turn it down.
Oh, well played.
Yeah, lovely shot. Simon Fitzsimmons appreciating that one as well. 6-2, Chris Day gets himself back within 4 and writes off that golden break that we saw a moment ago. Simon Fitzsimmons is almost there. There's the golden break again. Element of luck about it, but the way that Simon Fitzsimmons has been breaking, sort of not a huge surprise to see him get the ultimate prize from that. And another chance for him to take on this triangle of balls here. He's been breaking with such aggression all the way through. And he's 2 frames away now with 18 minutes left. Chris Day, massive odds against winning this match now, just not only for the amount of comeback it would require, but how close Simon Fitzsimmons is to the finish. And he's made a ball here. That's a great split as well. Big chance for Fitzsimmons to go one away here.
Yeah, straight away, first thing he's looking at is the yellow at the bottom of the table, because the rest of the yellows are laid out as easy as they possibly could be. And if this yellow at the bottom of the table goes to the bottom right, then this will not take very long. I've got to be honest, it looks a little bit tight. He's come back to have another good look at this. It looks very tight from our main camera angle. This next shot will tell us if he plays on it, and it goes. No, he hasn't played on it. He's moved the red. That's a lovely shot.
Yeah, he's playing really well tonight, isn't he now? Simon Fitzsimmons looked a bit shaky at times against Mike King, and he was pretty open in his interview that he wasn't quite at 100%. He was just feeling his way back into form. But he's been brilliant in this match against Chris Day. It's been a proper performance. He's been excellent. If he can navigate the rest of this frame, he'll go 1 from home. We'll get a little bit of an early finish, courtesy of the bouncer. Thought the way the early going here went that we might see another close one, but Fitzsimmons has taken the opportunities that have come his way in a really impressive way.
I just like the way he's worked this clearance out. It looks so easy.
It wasn't an easy clearance at all, was it? It was tricky.
Yeah, it's opened things up with the first or second shot. First shot he couldn't do it. Second shot left the angle that he could do it, and then work his way to pot it, and then drift the way through it from there, and picked a really nice route. Lovely pull.
Yeah, it's just Simon Fitzsimmons at the top of his game, or somewhere close to it at least. Very good from him. 7-2, 1 from home with 15 minutes remaining. Chris Day in all kinds of trouble here. And a final reminder of our 4th and final quarter of the Masters draw. Just cannot wait for that to get going. Really, just every game there I'm excited for. Group 15 starts with a banger. Hill Chipperfield, arguably the tie of the round. For my money, it is. Repeat of the 2017 World Final, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. I also like the fact that it's got quite an international flavour as the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
A couple coming over from Morocco and Ryden coming over from Malta.
Oh, I thought we were going to get a golden break there from Chris Day. Not quite, although he has made a ball and he's got a pretty favourable split as well, I think.
It's a decent break and another good opportunity. Just wonder whether he has to move the red that's just above the yellow on the left-hand side. He might be able to just leave it where it is if he lands nicely on it, be able to pot it. If not, he's got enough by to be able to just nudge it a fraction. If you're in Chris's shoes here, you've just got to keep grinding. You just never know. I've seen matches turn around from 7-2 behind. The problem he's going to have is quickly it's going to be the clock.
I think the biggest problem he's got to rely on mistakes, or he's got to rely on one of two things: mistakes from Simon Fitzsimmons, which at the moment don't look likely, or Simon's break drying up, which also at the moment doesn't look likely.
You almost need to force the mistake. If a mistake's going to come, if you're in Chris's shoes now, you have to believe the mistake's going to come, and you have to believe that you can make it come by putting some pressure on. And the only way you can put pressure on is by taking out these finishes.
Yep, that's true.
He did it in his last frame with a great break and dish, and he's okay. It was responded to by Simon with one of his own. Well, that angle there tells us he doesn't need to move that red, so he's going to leave it for his last ball. Needs a little bounce, and he's got it. That's perfect. Great last ball to drift behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, lovely.
Work these out nicely.
Yeah, he really has. (7-3) in the offing, but he knows that Simon Fitzsimmons will have a chance to win the match at his next visit to the table. Bouncer has the next break. Chris had a problem, didn't he, earlier with an 8 ball to the top left of the table. I don't expect this one will give him similar consternation. Simple as you like. 7-3. 11 minutes and 47 seconds remaining. There's a man getting prepared to go and win the game. It is warm in here. It's been a warm day, hasn't it? Summer's officially here. It was roasting in there outside earlier. On my walk to the venue, it was, couldn't quite believe what I stumbled into. Stoke and Newcastle in the line feeling positively tropical. Never thought that was a sentence I'd say.
Pretty sure Chris is feeling it out there now. I think Simon's at such a comfort level that he would expect to clear up here. Before he even hits the ball, he's expecting it.
Massive break, made a ball. This has got to be the win here for Simon Fitzsimmons. Red just tying at the 8 ball might influence his choice of colour set, but he is breaking a dream. Really so powerful. And when you're breaking like this, it gives you opportunities. Yellow's probably the easier colour set, but he takes red, the 8 ball is easier. He's just weighing up that equation now.
If he takes yellows, then he doesn't have to move the bad yellow, which is the yellow nearest the left-hand side. He can land on it, drop it in. For me, it's whether the 8 ball goes to the top left or not. If it does, then I think yellows have to be your colour set. Reds are really difficult to solve, those two around the 8 ball. So I think even looking at it further, I think there's no chance of taking the reds here now.
There's the opening shot. Has he still got a second shot to play?
No.
Sure he does.
I think he's left himself with nothing to go at. Didn't have to move things. He could have left things where they were and tried to piece it together.
15-second shot clock now in operation. He's gone for the long double here, I think. He wasn't too far off getting it. Was it just a bit of a safety? Just looking where he's left the white ball, I think it might have been. Cragg going to leave the snooker.
Still time for Chris. Didn't need to take something rash on there. He's got control in the frame in terms of a number advantage.
I think Simon will take that. I think he'll take that all day long. I don't think Chris can get through to the red that's immediately next to him. Extension call just to figure this one out.
Could leave it fairly safe just by leaving the cue ball on his bottom cushion. It's not going to do too much damage. Difficult for Simon to put Chris in trouble from here. So Simon's just going containing, just nudging that red even safer.
Yeah, at what point does Chris go game here? Because he's running out of time quickly. Could have done it at that opportunity. I think arguably that's made the frame harder for Chris to win where he's left that red ball.
Yeah, he's kept it safe. He's possibly even got the snooker, but he's tied another red up.
He did have the chance to go for it.
I think in normal play, if this wasn't a timed match, then the chance to go, I think it probably was the right choice not to go for it. You
Agreed.
could certainly question it with the clock ticking, but he's gaining an advantage through his tactical play here.
That's out of a snooker.
We may even be able to still see that yellow, actually.
Yeah, I didn't think he could, and then on the overhead, yeah, you can see he can just sneak through. Good job, Real, doing a very, very hard hit anywhere. Oh, Simon Fitzsimmons knows what he's about to come up against.
Yeah, nicely done from Chris. Sometimes they can be horrible little jabby shots, but played it well. Good snooker. And now, I don't expect Simon to give away a foul here, but I do expect Chris to have an opportunity following this visit. He has given away a foul, so that gives him a perfect opportunity now to pick the perfect angle to develop his bad ball. He could leave it where it is and play the double. He has options. Could play one into the right centre pocket, left centre pocket, could play one to the bottom left corner. He's just going to give himself a double and go for it. No, he's missed the double.
Hasn't left a huge amount. I just wonder actually if Simon himself has a double, but I don't think that yellow threads through.
For me, that last shot was the first time, as we're now in the 15 seconds of shot, that Chris has looked rushed. Hadn't quite made up his mind, and in the end was like, well, I better play the double. But he's now got the chance to make the clearance. Shouldn't be any mistakes from here. Two reds at the top are just a nice, easy, comfortable plant. And all of a sudden, 7-4. It's going to be 5 minutes or so on the clock.
Chris to break next.
Chris to break next. He's broke just his last two. It's starting to make Simon at least question it.
One thing you would say for Chris Day right now is you do need to motor a little bit. Take every second you can. And try and leave that on the match clock. Don't need to go silly, but he does need to probably pick up his natural pace here if he's to keep enough time on the clock to try and force a tie.
He's not rushing, is he? He's still trying to stay in his own rhythm at the moment. He's still trying. I know it's 15 seconds a shot, so he's naturally going to be playing quick, but he's certainly not trying to save as much of the clock as possible.
He's relying really here on a golden break, I'd say. Don't think there's enough time to, from here, win the full 4 frames that it would take to tie things up. He's going about this clearance really nicely. Of course, we can make a golden break. It's me that would change the complexion of this match. He's short on this one, but he's still got a shot. For 7-4. 4 minutes and change remaining. And that has gone awry for Chris Day. So Simon Fitzsimmons here can go and win the match outright. A bit of an ignominious end, I fear, for CD there.
Just got a little bit lost with his route. Oh, let off.
Well, that just shows you how confident Simon Fitzsimmons is in his doubles, doesn't it? An all or nothing double, knowing that if he missed it, he loses the frame. Also probably shows you how little pressure he's feeling on the clock right now and in the match. Yeah, he's a little bit miffed, but don't think he's too fussed, is Simon Fitzsimmons. 3:55, the clock has stopped at. Chris Day needs 3 more frames. Realistically, he needs a golden break.
We see a lot of this in this tournament so far. The players happy to have a good chat about what's happening out there while the balls are being racked up.
You were never much for chatter.
Quite happy to have a good chat after the match. We very rarely like to do it during.
Where's that 8 ball? That's not going to get kicked, and Chris Day knows he does need to hurry.
Decent split, but one bad ball if you're yellows. Red's not so bad. What an awkward ball, but it's not a terrible ball. For me, you should probably play it now. The one to the bottom left, take that one down the rail. You're playing on the one that you're next to right now. You just got to avoid that yellow in the triangle area. It's a big pot.
Gorgeous extension for that reason. Didn't quite want the time pressure, wanted to frame it up properly. Knew that was the key to this frame. The rest should be fairly routine, actually, which is useful because he's not got a lot of time. Simon Fitzsimmons still will have the chance to go and win the match in the next frame, even if Chris goes and clears these up. Ball from the break would pretty much do it, you'd expect, for Simon in that instance.
What were you doing Simon's shoes, though, with the golden duck? We haven't seen one yet in the competition, but...
Oh, you've got to trust your break if you're Simon Fitzsimmons, surely.
Yeah, your break's so good. Would you risk it? You know, it has gone in off, I think, once tonight from the break. It got kicked in off, and he has made the 8 ball once tonight. If that happened together, all of a sudden, it's a gift for Chris, and could be match on.
2:23:22, the clock stops. So it's realistically enough time. Still technically enough time, but he's requiring a bit of trickery, a bit of magic, whether it be a bit of good luck on Simon's break or a bit of good luck on his own. I think that's what Chris Day will need. Plus then a very, very quick clearance as well. 7-5. Simon Fitzsimmons makes the ball here. The match is all but done. A lot on this break though, as Simon mentioned earlier.
What's he going to do? It's normal full power break.
Yeah, it has to be. You're breaking as well as Simon Fitzsimmons is. You trust your break. And that's why.
And that was probably the cleanest cue ball he had. Okay, it nearly got kicked into the bottom left corner, but straight up the middle of the table.
Just shows, I think, it was probably on his mind. He deliberately, really, really tried to cue that as straight as he should. And that's it's a hammer of a break, isn't it? He really has broken so well.
He has. I would say that he probably still took a fraction off that break as well to concentrate and make sure that cue ball was right at the centre of the table. And now he has an opportunity just to take these out and win the match rather than the clock ticking down. Although that's not the best positional shot he's ever played, unless the one he's nearest to goes. It looks tight, but the way he's lining these up, I think he's lining this up as a plan. The thing is, if you're Chris, if you come to the table, you only need to leave 1 second on the clock. on your counter clearance, and you're going to get the opportunity to have a golden break to tie things up. So it's not the end of the world. You just need to come to the table with 30 seconds or so on it, which could happen.
Yeah.
These time matches really do throw an interesting dynamic into the mix. They really do.
Yeah, they do.
Here we go.
Oh, Simon's not too happy.
Not happy with the clock. I'm not sure exactly what the issue was, but it was a tough pot that he missed, and here we go. So Chris has 40 seconds, and he can't make his mind up because these are all there for him. Remember, he just has to leave 1 second on the clock to have a chance to golden break and to tie things up. I think he's not really rushing here, and he's going to run out of time. He's only got 17 seconds left, and he's not really rushed yet. We've still got 5 pots to go.
Not quite to be for Chris Day in the end. He gave it a good old go. But it is Simon Fitzsimmons who will get on through to the last 16. The bouncer makes his way into the next stage, and he's done very, very well to do that. 2 really tough games navigated in a really difficult group for Simon, but he's got there, and that's so important. And all of a sudden, this last 16 continues to look very, very dangerous. Now you add an in-form Simon Fitzsimmons into the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. I think over the course of the whole night, I think Simon deserved to come through tonight. I was really impressed with him in this match. Okay, a couple got away from him there at the end, but for me, it was really interesting. I think Chris had an opportunity to make it 3-2 in that match. He didn't take it. Simon responded, won that frame, and then he went break, dish, golden break, break, dish to sort of really tie up his own side of the table, and then he took one on Chris's as well. And Chris responded well. He had, I think, three finishes from the break on the trot off his own to get back into the match, but he just left himself too much to do, too many mistakes early on.
Yeah, and in the end, Simon Fitzsimmons does make it through. We will speak to the bouncer when we return. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. We have confirmation of Simon Fitzsimmons' progress into the last 16. A superb professional job over Chris Day to get himself over the line and into the next stage. And he joins me now. Simon, a big congratulations on the win. You talked to us in that first interview tonight about how you felt like you were warming up and you were just getting a bit of almost match practice in that first game, and all those sort of little errors that we saw in that first match evaporated. That was a proper performance. How pleased were you with it?
Yeah, very much so. Broke really well from the start in the second game. Give myself a lot of good chances to take the finishes, and obviously when they're a bit easy, it makes you a bit more comfortable. But got a lot of momentum going, and obviously built up a good lead. Luckily, I held on to it at the end.
Yeah, it got a little bit weird, didn't it, towards that last 10 minutes? A lot of strange, different situations. Is it one of those where you're just careful not to overthink it in that final 10 minutes?
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, it was like 7-2 up, and funnily enough, Sean, who's come down with Chris, actually beat me doing what I was hoping Chris wouldn't do tonight, coming from behind massively with next to no time. I thought, I don't want it to happen again kind of thing, and I broke, I think, at 7-3, and they were kind of there to get him, and I went a bit negative, and lo and behold, it's 7-5 and I'm running the clock down. But that's what happens with a shot clock, I suppose.
How pleased were you with the break tonight? Because that was the one thing that all the way through tonight was absolutely massive for you. It was huge. Yeah,
like I said, it gives you a lot of good chances to take the frame, and if you're holding on to your own serve, you give yourself every chance. So yeah, really pleased with the break.
Last 16 is a stage that everyone wants to be in, because you look at the players that have made it through so far, there's no stale tunes there. That's a pretty good club to be a part of. How pleased are you to be there?
Yeah, there's some big hitters obviously, but it's obviously it's a big event. All the top players are in it, so yeah, I'm really pleased to get through tonight.
We can't wait to watch you in that last 16 when the time comes. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Super performance, hey, Si?
Yeah, fantastic performance from Simon. Just played some brilliant pool throughout the night. Break was absolutely massive, as it always is with Simon, but as he said there in his interview, taking a lot of those chances that he presented himself, he's just giving himself so many more chances than a lot of his opponents, and thoroughly deserves his place in the last 16.
He certainly does, and that's what we've got to look forward to next week. Lee Kendall, Gav Robinson, Rona McCarthy and Emma Cunningham as the pool returns to Monday nights on Free Sports. It feels like it's been a while since we've said that, but we're back on Monday nights from here on out. Monday 6:30 for group number 10, as Simon Fitzsimmons will find out who he'll play in the last 16. Do join us then.